Road and bridge reports, discussion, and
Hey, Paul won't be here this morning. He's in Great Falls right now picking up culverts. There's a shortage on culverts. He went over to get some. We got to put a couple out here. Anyway, he's picking up culverts in Great Falls. Yesterday, he got a hold of Mike Herzog, cat guy, and we're gonna have to rent a roller for a month. And then that way we'll have to have the roller when we haul the milling. So he got that took care of it. $6,000 will be on next year's budget. But we have to have a roller to complete what we're doing. And then they're gonna use it up there where they're ripping on East Fork. The main thing this morning, the radio deal. Last week, Scott got a hold of Paul and was talking about the crews on this channel that the sheriff's on. Well, they cut the sheriff off on a repeater and they were trying to get out to Rock Creek. And anyway, we have to get our own radio channel, or he's asked us if we please would, and it's gonna cost about $20,000. Well, I had Billy look into it and I talked to Sarah. We can take it either out of that CARES or that ARPA instead of coming out of his budget, because he don't have the money in his budget. But we need to get, if we're gonna do it, we need to make a motion and do it right away this morning so we can order the parts, because it's 3 weeks out. That make any sense? I trying to remember it all. It's we have to do it. It's like yesterday, he wasn't having to drive all the way down to the bottom of Rock Creek to get Johnny to bring the grader up, but he could have hollered on the rail, hey, we need you back up here with the grader. They gotta have radios for safety and that. So I don't know, I guess it's a discussion, but I'd make the motion that we go ahead with getting our own radio channel.
can we do that since it wasn't on the agenda?
Yeah, it is.
Is this the same one that
No.
Sam Dennis? Oh,
No,
different one.
it's completely different. We have to get our own, and then this way, we're not cutting Scott or the ambulances off. But these guys,
Yeah.
it's just, I think it's time we talked about it 6 years ago and we let it fall through.
Okay, discussion. I agree. I think the CARES, we have that 100,000 that we're keeping to use for county, and this is a good thing to use. It's still in this budget year, we still have budget power, so what?
Yeah, you could use CARES. ARPA would apply as well. You don't have those funds now, but you could ask
Yeah.
for reimbursement.
I think
656 getting eaten up fast, but there'll still be funds in there too.
I just think it's a good deal, and then we're done, and Scott can get on ours, but we won't let get on his. So there's something, Dunn's will take care of it all and set us up.
So where does this thing go?
It's gonna be, it's just a channel, they put it into that repeater system.
Just another channel.
But it'll just be their own private channel to get them off of being.
No, I think it should come from CARES.
I agree. Yeah, it's one thing that because we don't, it's there for emergency
This is
stuff like
something-
this.
This is something. that we
Yeah.
really-
Yes,
So that's a second then.
I second.
Any public comment? So all those in favor of the motion say aye.
I
Aye.
I'm gonna call him down because he said he was calling this morning and that way they get ordering it. And I got one more, or if you guys got some, I got one more.
So what's our discussion going to be on non-maintained versus maintained roads?
Well, I wanted Paul here, so
Okay,
I think I'll put it off. Oh, we could talk about it a little bit. He's got to be here.
The other thing, Thursday, I had a person I ran into here in Phillipsburg, and he was complaining about the dust and stuff out there by Bordson's Bridge. And so I called Fish and Game, because I've asked him, anyway, I got on the phone with Pat Staffel, he's one of the main guys down there in Missoula. We BS'd him, we got Rory to call me back, and we were on a teleconference with the Fish and Game, and I got $2,000 out of them to give to us for dust abatement. I sent the bill, but they gotta have it before the first, but I had Becky go ahead and send it. I figured we'd-
Good job.
Yeah, good job. That's the first time you've got.
First time we've ever got
Got
money
money
from
out.
them.
Yeah,
So they were doing, oh, we got 1,000 or 2, and I said, we'll take 2. I said, and they were already out there working and putting it down, so they were happy. And anyway, Becky's mailing the bill out this morning.
Good.
I'd like to know that.
You see in the newspaper that they're taking comments on the new fishing access. You might want to have that on, if the commission wants to do a comment on it, you might want to have that on your agenda.
Where's it at?
Right there, close to like Bernie Novak's there and that
Bernie's
cat.
anymore, but
Yeah,
it's
Bernie's
that,
over
it's the Cowboys Memorial Bridge right there.
Yeah,
It's the fishing access they were gonna do in like 1995 that they're finally putting in.
I don't, I think it's good that they make something to get them off the road.
Yeah.
That's, that piling them up all along the edges, we've had problems there for quite a while, so I don't know, I just let them worry about it. I'd support them.
if you guys want to
Sure.
comment on it, put it on the agenda, but you don't have to.
They said they're gonna get hold of us.
Yeah, they did, so there should be a mailing coming.
Matt and Rory said that they were talking to us about it, so.
So we can put it on the agenda and then
If you want to.
write a letter supporting it.
For or against,
We're
They're-
gonna just get them off our road, and then, you know, if they're willing to help us, we should support them on getting them off our road.
a couple of years ago, they were saying this would be contingent upon the county doing no parking on the Rock Creek Road. Well, there's no statutory authority for the county to do that. In fact, Missoula County got sued for doing the same thing, putting
Remember
no
we-
parking signs on.
Hmm.
county
We
road.
put up them signs, went down, took them down.
So,
They had
yeah,
one that
so-
didn't stop.
The county commission did the right thing and denied that, and they didn't put it in, but now it was the landowner that I think was wanting it that time went on.
That's about all I have for the road. That's all I can remember.
Yeah, as far as discussing the non-maintained roads, I like Paul here, but just to start off, I think we're gonna have to start doing some, but I'd like a list of all the non-maintained roads. And then we could set a priority on what we can,
see, once upon a time, there's a map like that in the vault in the clerk recorder's office that has maintained roads. So you might pull that out and see
Mhm.
just what's maintained and what we now have added to it to keep it.
I guess, we talked about this quite a few years ago about trying to, Bill was on that too. I guess it wasn't a vote, it was just the only problem I have is that I don't mind doing some of these other roads if we can. That's all I'm saying. I guess we're getting ourselves so stretched out and these people it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and I don't know how to keep up with.
no, I think we're gonna have to. I
And I
mean,
don't know how we're going to do those.
No,
We're
I
gonna
don't
end up
either.
hiring more and more equipment. We're having a hard time keeping up with what we got now. These people that move in here, they expect us, they move up in these, like that guy that come in, if I was against that, I just, we can't every time they come, well, we need this, we need that, or, you knew that. That's my opinion.
well, I think we should have a list, we should have a priority, and then start working on those. I mean, and just tell them we can't, we might not get there for 10 years, to your road. I mean. and-
Yeah, I just don't want to be going out there saying, oh yeah, we're gonna come get these non-maintained roads, because there's
No,
so
we-
many of them.
no,
It's like
well,
down in down that lower end, all up through Bears also and Deep Creek and all that.
There's some of these roads, I don't know how we can make them get them up to county specs.
Never will.
I mean, the right of way, I mean, like up here in Stewart Lake, I mean, it just goes right up over the rock.
And you're not, as a county commissioner, you guys determine the level of maintenance, so. The county specs are required for new subdivisions coming in, but aren't required of, per se, you, the county commission.
And then like on some of these, you know, if they don't help them once, then they expect you there, and then they're gonna be, well, you did this, you know, you went to fix this, now this winter we need your plow, it's just. I'm with you on, we're gonna have to look and see where we can really help. Right now, I know we're behind.
Oh, I know, I mean,
The list may help you, then you can say, you know, this is there's so many on this non-maintained road and you guys have less, you guys are down in priority even.
Yeah, there's
do
like
that.
3 maps in there and one has deed reference to when it became a county road. And then one is maintenance and non-maintained roads. And I can't
That
remember.
could
the
be
other one is.
Well, you know, these realtors should be held to an extent that I know you can't, but they're the ones saying, well, this is a county road. Well, yeah, it might be, but they're selling it as a maintained. They're, you know, we've gotten into this so quite a few times, these realtors say, well, yeah, this is a county road. And then the people come in and say, well, they said that this is county and you're maintained.
But they're on notice somewhat when they go up there and it's a rough road, so there's some. But you're
I
right,
think
it's some of
they tell
the,
them,
some of
well,
the
get all the
representation.
county, they'll come and fix it, so. Anyway,
so if we could dig up those maps and kind of get
Yeah.
started on this, you know, if we had a plan, you know, this road has priority. And then, you know, like in the fall or something, and maybe there's some slack time or something, you know, they can go up and get that.
no, I know we're gonna have to do something, just get, you know, just gotta put a priority really first.
Would have to be some maybe kind of rotation type thing
Yeah,
where you'd, okay, we can do this one.
Or the most people
So
on it
what's-
and have highest priorities, something like that.
What's good time in the summer is the summer where you're not really plowing snow. You're out there blading, right?
fixing what we, the winter, whatever happened in the spring, trying to get it back.
Yeah.
Well, that brings up another point, plowing snow. So let's say some of these roads, I mean, we can't get them up to the specs. The we could plow the snow adequately, you know?
The worst thing, we're getting bigger equipment, you know, a lot of these places we can't get into. I think that's.
Hmm. Anyway,
That's all I have on road stuff. I don't know, so
Yeah, you gotta. Remember the public here.
I was just
You
gonna.
gotta give your name. Joe.
I'm George Brooker. I live in Idle Ranches subdivision on Rock Creek Road, about 22-mile marker up from the bottom. I recognize that taxes collected in road districts are supposed to be used primarily in those road districts. According to state code. When I don't know when Linda may have, when we were discussing zoning a number of years back, our subdivision was put into the upper or Phillipsburg district as opposed to being in your district's done.
No, it never got changed. I didn't think so.
Well,
Anyway,
There's only one zoning area in the county and that is up at the lake.
Georgetown, that one that's those.
So-
Are you talking about road districts?
well,
There-
it's also the voting district, school district.
I'm looking at, I'm not,
Yeah,
I'm just kind of waiting to see what.
The,
Voting
Uh,
district, you'd be precinct 10.
yeah, the roads, they don't have, there's
Are
not
you,
districts there, just that you guys have taken like. If someone has a complaint in your commissioner
Oh,
district, then they can go to you,
Yeah.
but
You can
There's
still
not a
call
formal-
me.
Oh, okay.
it's all one road district.
You can
Yeah.
still call me, George, or call Paul, you know, we gave you his stuff, but on the road issues, like, you know, you need to go through the supervisor first. Paul, you have his number.
Oh, yeah, I was just on my, I was just told that, you might be discussing, roads today.
We are,
And that, I thought I made a jump run, so I.
No,
just popped in.
no, you can still call me anytime you want, I don't care, you know that. You got my cell, don't you still?
Uh,
what was your, I don't know, I didn't understand what your question was or your problem was.
Well, I was of the impression that the taxes collected in our subdivision were maybe going to. I thought that the road districts
all goes in
were
with-
separated.
No, that was one, yeah.
I think they've been doing pretty good down there too. I've been up a couple times checking and we're trying to get, there's so much traffic, George. that
Oh, yeah,
holy
yeah, that's
shit.
So we're our CPA is monitoring traffic, and it's considerable uptick. You know, I've been up there for about 20 years. It's considerable.
It's worse this year than I've ever seen it.
Mhm.
They had that counter out. I don't know, you guys still got your speed thing though, don't you?
Yeah, and we were able to monitor visits and
We should.
speeds.
We should get some documentation on that stuff, because we can go, you know, the Forest Service, they were always willing to help, but we never had proof of how much traffic and stuff, so if a person could ever figure out that counter and, you know, that was a big deal when you
yeah.
guys got that, so we could actually go back on, because then that's in the low schedule.
Among the folks down there weren't so many tech savvy, but now they got it kind of figured out.
That was a big deal though.
So just one thing, so that you kind of understand it a little better, on your tax bill, when you see road, that's you're paying, and road is not a county-wide fund, but it is certain areas, and when you see road, then yes, everybody pays the same, just so you know.
And you can still get a hold of me anytime you want. I can get a hold of Paul or try Paul, or if you can't get a hold of Paul, make sure you call me.
Of course, it's not especially an issue with yours. You know, being so dry this June, the dust and the raft traffic at my place is considerable. Forest Service won't treat the road.
They haven't even come in and seen us in 3 years.
Yeah, I haven't seen.
We've sent them stuff and tried to talk to them, but Logo's gotten, they got rid of them older guys that used to come in all the time. Yeah, they're all gone. Now it's new people down here every year, so it's pretty tough.
I hate to cut you guys
Yeah.
off, but we gotta move on.
One thing is that deputies have been down there patrolling, so guess that's not probably your total issue, but there are doing some.
I thank you for coming in, George, and call me whenever.
Okay.
Seriously.
Well, I appreciate that.
Okay, now we're gonna move on to
Thanks, George.
TJ Vitor to discuss roads and bus routes.
Oh, she's
We have a public comment from Betty Munitz,
From who?
on Zoom.
Okay, Betty. What's your comment?
I gotta unmute myself. Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Okay, hey, I just wanted to give you a heads up over a concern I had over procedure and fiscal impact of those cattle guards being removed. First of all, on the procedural side, I went back and looked through the minutes because I was very surprised about this. I know something came up about on the June 8th minutes from your meeting about the department being in danger of going in the negative. And then there was one sentence about Paul wanting to remove a couple of cattle guards across the county. Evidently, part of those were on Rumsey Road, but as the landowner and Jensen leases that property, nobody was contacted. I wasn't contacted, nor was Mark. So then you guys said, well, let's put it on the agenda. It came up on the 15th agenda. And on that agenda, it says we're going to remove 2 cattle guards. I don't understand what the impetus was or the hurry was for this. And they estimate in the minutes indicate that it would be $3,500 and that you could use one of the cattle guards. Well, because they removed the cattle guards, this is an east-west and it opens up the livestock that are grazing on our property to the Highway 1, and it poses a danger there. We had to take an internal fence. There's a east-west fence that goes on the north side, and there's an east-west fence that you put in on the south side of that county road, the Rumsey Road. So we had an established fence that was on the north side closest to the town. But you know, it needed some maintenance. And as soon as you pull out those cattle guards, I'm jeopardizing having cattle on the road, having cattle hit, or worse yet, if there's an accident on Highway 1. So it made me put in and upgrade my fence. I had to put in a new fence that took from an internal fence to an external boundary fence. And I question a couple of things because this is over $3,000, it's over $5,000 was my bill from the same fencing company. So I don't know what you guys ended up paying, but it was well over $3,500. And secondly, my bigger concern is the disrespect for the landowners because boy, there's other people that are impacted by this. We could have done a much better job just by having better procedures and policies. If you don't have a policy in place when you do this stuff, I'd highly suggest that you do. And it would just, you know, I had to drop everything I'm doing to deal with this. And it would have been a lot better relationship, a lot better process, I think, in the end. So
Did you ever get my message, Betty? This is Scott.
He's froze up.
I'm sorry, I don't see who's speaking.
She didn't say
We
this.
can't hear you.
Okay.
Who
I
is,
guess I'm sorry. I thought Paul talked to the landowners. I mean, I
I
just,
left Betty a message too that day, and I never heard back.
a message what day? I'm sorry, I don't know who's speaking and I don't know what they're saying.
Maybe,
But-
maybe she can.
this is Chuck. I'm sorry. I thought Paul talked to the landowners.
Paul talked to him after I called. Yeah, he tells me on Friday that they're gonna be doing this on Monday. So this is not as condition to a landowner. And I think that you could more support if that just a little bit of work. I don't know what the hurry is. And I don't even know, I understand that there's a lot of traffic going up there. If you want to do a counter on Rumsey Road, you'd be surprised. And there's a lot of big trucks. There's a lot of large equipment that's going through, and it has been cutting off those cattle guards. And I understand they get filled up and something had to be done, but there was a much better way to go about it. And especially with all the parties here, because, you know, I could have had a better idea of budgeting my monies too, so.
Okay.
In the end, it might work out well, but there would have been a much better way to go about it.
Okay, thanks for the comment.
Thank you.
Yeah, I thought he found everybody up there.
So now we gotta move on. Is TJ around?
I don't see her here.
Is she on,
I don't have her on Zoom either.
who's the 406077 ending?
I'm not certain who that is.
So I guess we'll put that
She
off
was
till,
gonna come in though.
she was?
Yeah, she was gonna come in. I don't see her.
Usually we have a meeting. I was on that bus thing. And usually it's when Vicky's on it and I was on it. Don Hopman, a few others, and all they do, they look to see if there's a different, remember the big conflict was that the Phillipsburg bus was turned around in the Drummond district. We said that it was a safety issue. We don't care. If they get down there because they're unloading handicapped kids in this bigger spot. Remember that, Blaine?
Yeah, what,
But I don't know if this is what it's about or if she's wanting to change something. I guess I'd table it or something.
I'll reach
I
out
mean,
to her.
usually we
Yeah.
don't even, we just have a meeting and
Yeah, we're gonna
That,
table it till next week.
yeah, by the statute, that committee determines the routes.
and I'm on
If-
that.
Yeah,
Vicky's on
you,
it.
you met,
And no, we haven't now, so we might ask Vicky about it. She's
Okay.
kind of one of the leads.
So-
and
One thing too is maybe did TJ take over?
The transportation director.
The
position?
bus guy,
No, Justin Bloom, I think,
think of his
did.
name,
Bob Todorvich had it.
Yeah, I think-
Todorich, yeah,
Yeah,
he,
he retired.
he's
I think it's-
retired, so
I
is
think-
she,
I think the school board appointed Justin Bloom recently.
Yeah.
I could be.
She's
mistaken.
she has the route.
she has
still,
that
so-
oh, so she's just
Yeah.
a bus driver, okay.
But it really should potentially go to that transportation committee is.
Because usually we have a meeting every fall before school starts and we get everything settled. We could ask Vicky about, I'd ask Vicky and see if when
Okay.
she's gonna set it up. That's what that
Okay.
was.
I'll do that.
I kind of remember that the school board in Drummond was saying meeting was set and then Mrs. B had the wrong time and didn't show up, so probably a new one needs.
Yeah, so we
reset.
need to get a hold of both superintendents and Vicky and
Tag,
Marty Sack.
Have a mosquito
repellent.
Represented Sack.
yeah,
Don Hawkins. she can work down, so-
May I make a comment? On Betty Munis's comment? I think maybe going forward, we need to make sure we get responses back from the landowners, just because there was confusion before we do
but if
anything.
Scott Calder,
He told me, huh?
Oh, okay,
So
see,
I
we've
guess
gotta make sure that
That's
we,
why it's up. And I mean, I'm not saying,
no,
it sounds like he talked to them, but they wanted more time to talk about it. To me, it looks like then they got, when they started figuring out that they had to fence it off of the county road, which, and then
so I just suggest that we need to make sure,
yeah.
because she
Yeah,
has a
right.
legitimate,
I
Oh,
agree.
yeah, I agree with you.
She has a
I wish he
follow-up
was-
on-
okay.
I wish Paul was here to.
Hey, Betty, you have another comment?
Yeah. We got a call, but only after I saw this on the agenda and I wasn't to call early enough to have any discussion. My concern, when you go through people's property and it's gonna have an impact like this, it should have been done well ahead of being on your agenda. I mean, it should have been smoothed out and I should have had a clear understanding. Mark Jensen should have had a clear understanding of what, you know, what the issues were, what we were gonna do, where the fence was gonna go, where gates were needed, and it would have helped all the way around. But to call on like the Thursday before you're gonna put it in, there was no discussion. We could have paved this through much easier. And I got a call because I called the county office. I called Billie Jean. Said, hey, what road are we?
No, I agree.
Call.
Okay. Yeah, thanks. We're gonna move on to
You bet.
Georgetown. And Georgetown Lake looks about the same, went down a little bit. But not much.
I think leave as is. I mean,
Yeah.
they're starting to they're starting to cut hay quite a bit, so at least the water will stay in the ditch and keep it, you know, wet, so I don't think we have much other, Dave Almonds, I read his.
Yeah. So even at 45% normal inflows, you still have the water to do 30 CFS and during the irrigation season.
But it goes right down to
Yeah.
the minimum. It's like 2 feet low.
About 6427.75, so it's right there. But
Yeah,
hopefully you don't have 45% normal, but
boy, I wouldn't plan on any more.
Just pray that we get rain.
So looking here, when it says June is at 22% of normal, that is drought almost, right?
Hmm. Scott, you were saying that other reservoirs
Yeah,
In-
like
in the
Coeur
west.
Lane's 5 inches below what they should be. Ponderay was down. There's just quite a few other, East Fork's down to 60%. They said 67%. And they're talking cutting back and cutting some off. And I mean, it's just gonna be one of them years where you're gonna have to take and just really be careful what we do.
Yeah, I mean, August, they may come in from asking you to up that, but not to see them. You'll have the water.
You know, my place, the dry land grass is drying already.
Yeah,
I
down
mean,
there.
It didn't even grow. It's only like
Yeah.
50 days.
It's gonna be a hell of a year. You better hope we get a little more of the fires we're gonna get. It's just a matter of time before we keep. They're pretty worried about the 4th of July and fireworks and it's scary.
So
I'd make a motion to just leave the dam as is with 30 out.
I'll second it.
Any public comment?
So one
No.
comment is when last week I went up and visited with Blaine and Dr. Stokey, and he was saying something that in May we let out more water than we should have, he felt, or,
I think he was
That's a
talking about
judgment.
in March and April.
oh, in March and April.
Yeah, I thought there was a period there, but, and
We were right there with
Yeah.
them and
so
so.
It's
It's a-
always a judgment call by some
Yeah.
guys that it's always too much or not enough there, and then you get down lower, and once it comes out, and they're down here saying not enough or too much, it's just,
trying to predict it and
you can't please them all, and you try to make it equal and neutral, but it's,
the last several years, we had all that late snow and moisture and into May, June, didn't have that this year. So
last year
that's
they're gonna
tough.
sue us because we kept too much water. This year, now they're worried about not enough, it's just never.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we had
Yeah,
a,
that's
nor-
what the
if we had a
article-
normal spring,
Yeah.
we'd have been sitting pretty good.
And that's why the article in the paper is kind of talking about how the fine line you have to, because. Yeah,
Can we, are we off a little bit?
No. Oh,
I unmuted Chuck. You guys, he's on.
any comments? No.
Excuse me. Good morning.
Morning.
There is some data from 20 years ago on what happens if we draw the lake down too far in an area where it looks like we're headed this year. So it's not something we need to be all excited about it right now. But once we get into August, we might want to take a look at that, because I think the lake is going to start to drop if this trend continues. We're not getting the inflows and we're getting a huge evaporation. So if you want, I can look for some of that data to kind of get a historical record of where this may go, to just add to your knowledge base and see what happens. Because as I told Blanche, one of the biggest things we do not want to do is jeopardize the lake filling next year.
Right.
So if the more things we can look at to weigh that, the better. That's my only thought right now.
Yeah, if you do that, we'd appreciate it.
I'll dig out one of my boxes.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr.
All right.
Stokey.
All right.
We have a comment from Betty Munis.
Betty?
Yeah, thanks so much. I'd be real interested. Will you be sure to share that data with us? I understand that the commissioners are right in the middle of this, and it's a tough year for everyone. It's especially hard for ranchers who are really having a hard time getting water, and they see folks on the reservoir on water skiing and enjoying themselves. And I get that, but I appreciate the fact that you went out on the ground to see what the concerns are there. I'd be happy to see if there'd be some of the ranching folks, once we get through haying, then maybe we could do the same thing with the commissioners on the ground about the concerns that we have. I'd really be interested in looking at the data that Chuck has. And also, is there a method out there for measuring natural flow that goes into the reservoir?
Well, basically, if whatever's coming in, we try to match what's going out, so we get a equal amount.
With the springs, there'd be,
You can't really tell.
You can't really tell, yeah.
Okay, there are some models out there that I've seen and we're familiar with that we'd be happy to share too, just as an option for consideration. I think as we go forward, man, this isn't a normal year. I don't know how many normal years we're ever gonna have again, the way things are going, my gosh. But I think the more information that the commissioners have, the better. So but we'd be, I'd be happy to pass on the things that we have as well.
Thank you.
Any other comments? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 We'll go off for just a minute.
Yeah, we're gonna be off until 9:45.
Yeah.
We're back on with Janine.
Okay, this is just a bid for putting on some punch locks, or the code locks like they had on the elections office. And them stairs are getting better me. Anyways, there'll be, I can get in with the main key override and they will have their own codes. And then we'll keep keys, a couple in there, and then my son will have one and I'll have one. And we'll, leave one in this office over here, so if anybody else needs to get in the office for some reason. So then I don't have to know all the codes. And the reason for this is because we're having issues with the keys. I got a slew of keys and I know nothing about where they go. And it's just a pain in the butt trying to go through them all. This way everybody can have their own deal. The doors, the main doors will stay locks with keys. But these are just for the offices, everyone's office.
Well, I think too, on some of that, after listening to you and talking to some of them, I agree, especially where there's some of them have vaults and we don't have the keys for the vaults. They're just sitting there.
They're combinations.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and so, I mean, this way, at least you can lock the door going in there, so you don't, I don't know.
how about combo for the door over here? You don't like that idea
We're looking at.
for the door? The door.
Yeah, I didn't get a bid on that one, but we could ask them for another, what one more would be. That would work too, but yeah, the issue is that people will lose their keys. And then I don't know where they're at and they don't know where they're at. And there's a lot of keys out there that haven't been turned back in. And then we're having issues with the keys that Sherry makes. Half the time they don't work. And then a lot of times if somebody other than myself go down to get a key made, she won't make it because it's a government building or a federal building or whatever. She doesn't want to make them
So you want keyless entries for the
offices.
offices? That makes sense to me. Be a whole lot easier than.
Yeah, and then,
like you said.
I'm wearing out my pockets from carrying all these dang keys.
Yeah, that's a
I
great
mean-
idea.
I think it's a
I
good
think it's-
idea that, yeah, I really, after talking to you and seeing what I didn't understand, I thought,
Yeah.
what the hell, you're gonna get a bunch more keys made, that's what I,
No.
so now I
This-
understand.
no keys needed. There'll be a key override, so I won't need to, know all those combinations. I can still get in there and do my job or whatever, and I'll just have one key to everything instead of a whole slew of them.
So is that the outside doors too? You
No, I didn't put a bid on, I didn't
Okay.
put that on here. I did not ask
So
them.
the
These are just
outside-
offices.
You
How much is
You
it?
wanna leave the outside as is?
Yeah,
I'd leave the outside doors as is and just do the inside doors.
The outside doors, we have no issues with keys getting those made,
I'd I'd leave the outside doors and do the inside.
because I have extra keys. The only thing is with these bottom back doors, we have to get the key for them from Cooney's, and I have extras to that already, because I went and got some made a while back, like a year ago, I guess it was.
So procurement policy talks about if it's over 2,500, you get 3 bids, but if there's no one else, I mean, you guys commission can waive that. If there's no one else, that's.
so what's
what do you
the
think?
difference between this amount and amounts that are like 5,000 that you don't have to get a bid out?
So to do it in the paper is the 80,000 or above.
Okay,
2,500, the procurement policy says that you guys will get 3 quotes, but the commission can waive that because a lot of times there's not 3 businesses that they're doing it.
I just assume
I-
leave it because they've done work for us before.
yeah, but I was just gonna say, Cooney does all our work. He
Yeah.
comes in and does all the vaults and stuff and maintains
I didn't
everything.
mean to take
I would think we could waive it
Yeah.
and just have
But-
Cooney do it.
You did on the fence project, because that did get brought up in the fence project, but Wortman was the only one available.
And he talked to Sunrise and they were out for a year.
So I just wanted to bring that up so you know, and
Okay.
you can waive it.
So is there a motion?
I make a motion that we waive the bid process and let Cooney's Locksmith and Security use their proposal to put keyless entry locks on the office doors within the courthouse.
Second that,
For how much?
20,
It's $29.82.
You don't have one of these?
I suggest you do one on the north side too, but that's,
Yeah, I can ask them what that would be in there as well, you know. I mean, just for that one that they put on the election office, it was quite high, it's over $500. And so I said, well, if you give me 11 of these, give me a proposal for 11 of them, and he said we can make you a deal, because it's just one trip over and they'll do it all in one day. And the double doors were a little bit more, because I don't know what the difference is, but then
That's
double
why-
doors like Carol's and
that's
this
why
one.
they're professionals.
Yeah, I don't, yeah, that's out of my league totally.
maybe you should talk to the other elected officials, but I think one on that door would be good.
Okay.
The outside door?
Yeah.
Okay, well, do you want to wait on this and I'll call them and find out and get back to you guys this afternoon about how much more it would be for one on the outside door?
Well, if it's like anything else to order and get stuff, I'd go ahead
Go
with
ahead,
these and
go
we can
forward.
always talk about that front door, but I.
Yeah, we
you know,
can do that later.
But then you're paying another trip over
But I
or
mean,
mileage.
you'll
and-
find
We
that
can-
stuff out.
We can do that when he comes and maintains the vaults, because he's supposed to come and maintain the vaults like every 6 months or so.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah.
I did not know that.
They probably forgot when I left. No, just kidding.
That's because you have to maintain, you don't want that.
Yeah, but he comes over and
Don't want
turns
them to
in.
mess up. You won't be able to get your records out or stuff out of the way. Okay,
Is there any public comment?
There's none on Zoom.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 cool. I'll call them. We'll get her going.
Thanks.
Thank you.
You betcha.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Off until 10. Okay, time for Phillipsburg Marketing Group. Release of held claim discussion and decision.
So we are totally live and worked with Billy to update the old website, as you may have seen. It's basically, if you go to it, it just says we moved and there's a couple buttons to go to the new site. And that has, you may know, but the contract with Deb 406 goes through the end of the year. So basically we'll have that forwarding page up through the end of the year. That way, when people are looking, if they end up on an old site, they'll easily be redirected, which is what we've been trying for months.
It's only a couple hundred a year.
So we've
right? What
already
is it?
paid it. I went
Yeah,
through and looked
yeah.
at the claims, we paid it in January.
How
So
much
it's-
was it?
It was like $200 or $300. So we paid it through November, December.
Really is.
So it's already been
Yeah.
paid through the year, so we might as well leave it up. So if people go to the old website, it'll redirect them to the new website.
Yep.
And using it over that first week or two, we found some errors, but we got them all fixed and using
Yeah.
it. And I really like the new website. I think it's a lot more user friendly.
Yeah,
I don't know if you guys clicked through it, played on it a whole bunch, but.
And there still will be a few quirks that we find, and I'm sure Billy can attest, we try to fix them as soon as we can,
Yeah,
not
super
same
fast.
day.
Yeah,
So,
Thanks.
Well, the work in progress is because of the fact that, I mean, this is something new and you're gonna see things that people are gonna notice.
yeah,
And so, yeah,
there's always, it's
As
with
long as-
websites, there's always and updates that are gonna need to be made, obviously, and I guess going back to the whole point of creating a new website is to get the quick changes when we need them, not reaching out to the guys in billings that don't answer.
so Billy, you feel that our website meets our needs?
I do. I think it's great. If you guys go onto it, you can just click straight from the website, join into the commissioner's Zoom sessions right away. brings up all of the documents for meetings. You can search on there to find stuff. It takes you guys right to the recorded meetings that are already been recorded and posted. I am a big fan of it. I really like it.
It works.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
works.
Okay.
Is there a motion?
I'm no good at this stuff. so
I agree,
take
Billy.
it.
I haven't been on there hours, but yeah, they will
Yeah.
find everything and,
So you're wanting your money.
Well,
More or less.
I'm pretty straight out, you know how. That's why I got held.
Well, and just as much, we're ready to move on to phase two, which is
You gotta have
training.
money to run, I know that. I just
Yeah.
wanna make sure this is,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
But we've got some additional work to do in phase two with the boards, and updating some of that
I
stuff.
think it's in there, all we have to do is release the claim, right? And then she
Yeah.
can write a check by today or tomorrow, like, I guess we better ask Becky, because she just got back from vacation with the claims, right?
yeah, I know she had it set aside.
So I guess that's,
I agree.
Need a motion or just,
probably because we made a motion to hold it, so.
Okay, I make a motion to release the held claim for Phillipsburg Marketing Group.
My second is on the fact that going by Billy, Blaine, and these guys, I don't know nothing about this, so.
any public comment? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 I'll let Becky answer some of them.
So, yeah, we'll get on to phase two, which is
Working on the boards.
working on the boards, training documents.
Yeah, and by phase two, we're referring to things that didn't exist on the old website, which we've already added some things. But this is going in a little deeper and obviously making it better for our residents.
Yeah.
So,
And then I'm not sure if you guys have had any more discussion about incorporating social media into the county communications. We've advocated for that, not in the sense that we're posting things that we want people commenting on and we're going back and forth, but more as informative. Here's a posting of this week's minutes. There's an announcement that there's going to be some Georgetown issues this week, whatever that might be.
and if anything, so right now we do have, and Billy knows how to use it. There may be more training involved with figuring out the little things, but there's a newsletter on the website, which is more or less a blog where Billy or whoever else needs to can just put notices or whatever. And that would be something that you could piggyback that onto social media. If you're announcing or letting people know about something, you can put it on social media. And that's really only because nowadays people aren't always going to go to the website to learn about what's going on. If it pops up on their phone when they're scrolling, they may stop and
And I know that Vicky is pretty excited about the notion that she can continue to educate the public about paying taxes online, driver's license days, things that they're answering the phone a lot for that are just redundant, but she feels like if we could push that information out, they'd be fielding less questions on when's driver's license day and some of these other.
She's working on it, so it's 5250, right?
That sounds about right.
Yeah, I gave her heads up, so.
Okay, appreciate that, Scott. So if you guys would like us to incorporate getting that set up for you guys and or managing that, we're happy to do that, but certainly don't want to take steps that the commissioners aren't behind.
Well, I would like that the department heads decide whether or not they want social media.
Okay.
So you say Vicky is very excited about it. Is Sarah, is Blaine?
Not as much, because there's
Yeah.
not as much purpose. Stuff.
Yeah.
Planning
I
probably.
mean, I'm not going to, I don't do Facebook,
I've gotten off with quite a bit, that's too.
but like you said, I understand that when it hits somebody, if you're gonna get somebody to,
Yeah, I don't know about that, being,
but if the department heads want it, then that's
And
fine.
it's
What do you
not
think, Chuck?
something we have to do right away either. I mean, it's something we can start thinking about and make a plan for before just jumping into it and then backpedaling. We wanna make sure we know our purpose for using it
Right,
and more or less, it's, the other thing is, we're not just gonna set up social media and Vicky can post what she want, or whoever can post what they want. It would be them sending us information that we post, so it's not just everybody posting, if that makes sense.
We would probably want to disable comments.
and so how much more would this cost?
It's just, right now we have it set in the contract, that would be, if we implemented it, it'd be like per post. And there's a rate for that, I forget offhand. But again, it's something we can figure out. We can coordinate with Billy and talk to departments more and figure out if it's something we want to move forward with.
But I like that idea, Blanche, it would be by department, because it really doesn't apply to most. And there's a couple that it could really help. So.
You know, I don't think I would need it, but the sheriff has one already, but maybe, yeah.
It's a good idea for the treasurer's office. They're gonna love them.
Yeah,
But I can see Billy Ann utilizing it for purpose of hiring notices and updates or changes to meetings or anything of that nature, so
Stuff I sent you guys post.
basically,
yeah,
Thanks for getting us going on that.
yeah.
No,
Yeah,
It's
we
a
have
process, but we're there.
We have an ongoing
It's
contract with them, so yeah, any of the work we do, then it's hourly now. Then we
Just
can
remember, we don't
revisit
have
it.
very much money, so don't keep coming asking for money.
I heard you guys are loaded.
Yeah.
No, we're definitely, we've said it before, we're not out to just bill the county, but obviously our time we need to get paid for, but we're not out to just sit there and rack it out.
Yeah, we're kind of lazy, really.
Okay, well, thanks.
Thanks, you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Okay,
Have a good day.
Should we get with Becky then, or?
Yeah.
I just
she probably-
she.
got it ready?
Chuck will have to sign it first.
Oh,
She might just walk in and ask her.
Okay.
I don't know if she's had time or yet.
Thank
You might have to wait.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't Sharon make the check? Didn't she? Or
No,
she
just
just,
when do we can't, when do we hold them?
oh,
She don't know. if
she didn't make
waits
the check, yeah.
How's it going?
We didn't know if it's even gonna go with it, so.
Getting warm out there?
I like it
I hate it.
for the 15 minutes it lasts. Yeah. Plus the breaks and records.
Yeah. But I got the AC.
Are we
on
gonna go
out
off
there,
till
so
10:15?
What's that?
Are we gonna go off till 10:15?
Yeah. Okay, we're back on Phillipsburg School East Side parking lot ownership. Parking issue. Discussion.
So an update, the Linda looked at the deeds, because Montana Cadastral Online showed it being the county parking lot, but it's, the ownership is at the school district. So
That's good.
it's the way it should be. I mean, it's school, it means, yeah, it's their parking lot when they use. So Dana Young's on their agenda to talk to them about that. I know you had the thought of potentially some kind of pay to use, and then that would potentially help with the main.
So can't they just call the DOR and tell them that you got it wrong on the cadastral?
Yeah, we can,
Thanks,
we can update them.
I should have mentioned it this morning.
It's okay.
Becky, can't you call when they got it wrong on the cadastral for the school parking lot? Can't you just call the Department of Revenue and say you got it wrong, or do you have to send them the deeds and stuff?
You'll have to send deeds, you'll have to send all the chain of title for it to ensure that it. A lot of times, especially with something older like that, I'll be a meets and bounds. And so they'll have to send that to their cartographer, who can then plot it out and see. But the issue with cadastral is that if it looks like it's just skewed a little bit, cadastral will look skewed.
Oh, no, that wasn't it at all. They
Okay.
have it as the county owning the parking lot at the school and the
Oh.
school district owns.
So we have the deeds, so I could forward it to them.
Yeah, and if you need, I can get you Myrna's email address and send it,
I have
yeah.
Myrna's.
Okay, yeah, just send it to Myrna and tell her, this is what's what. and she can get that fixed up.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Welcome.
It's gonna be Diana talking with
The
school
school.
district, but
Yeah, that's great. I mean, if nothing else, we found out who owned it. Right, we can correct that, and I saw those deeds are like 37 and 38. Quite old, yeah, and so I kind of had this, I anticipated this, so I told her to get on the school board agenda, which she did. I don't know what their situation is in terms of their scheduling right now, because they're kind of in a state of flux. But we'll just keep pushing forward on that, but I do like this idea of a pay thing. It's an interesting concept. I never even thought about
That
that.
was,
Yeah,
lunch, I think,
yeah.
yeah.
Like with the
The what?
parking lot, if you have the,
What I do?
there,
What did I do?
ADUs maybe?
Didn't you have that
Did I say
idea?
that?
I thought so.
I claimed
Oh,
it if I
it was
were-
Billy.
Oh, is it
Billy,
really?
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Say that.
I never even considered that, you know,
I didn't say
However,
that. I don't
you do these
remember
things-
saying that.
you know, you, bottom line is you gotta, you know, the maintenance, the maintenance,
Yeah.
right? So, yeah, all right, well, as far as I'm concerned, thanks for you guys for what you've done so far. We'll just move it up and see what we can figure out.
That would be pretty tough
Yeah.
to get people, how would you do that?
Yeah.
Well, if it's, yeah, like RVs stay on the night, then, yeah, I think they would, yeah, you'd have to have a box or something.
Yeah, there's something like that. Logistics might be a little complicated. However, there's no, I don't see a problem with discussing the possibility of something like that. Also, I've already talked about our public guy, and he's like, you'll just keep me posted, and we'll see what happens, and, you know, on the maintenance side, maybe we can work something out.
Yeah. You could, need to put a new top on it.
Does the town like plow snow in that parking lot?
So occasionally they do. Sometimes they do it like, like gratis courtesy thing, and
Yeah.
then sometimes they just coordinate with the state, and they, if we're in the same location, you just kind of do, so, maybe we can grow that in. Just, we'll see, we gotta get up there and talk to those folks.
So they own the whole thing, right?
Yeah,
Cause you see the having all their
well,
stuff
yeah,
parked
I
up
mean, there's
there.
that building there, but the parking in front of the elementary school, that's the schools. In front of the, over there, in front of like the bus parking, all that is the school.
But I know what you're referring to, because when they were doing the testing down here and the mining type stuff, it kept growing
Yeah.
further, further out.
Yeah.
And sort of,
Yeah.
yeah, I had some folks call me about that, asking about it, so, you know what it is, if there's open space, they're gonna fill it, so. Okay, well, I appreciate everything, you guys.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, that's the easiest thing I did all day.
All right.
Carry on.
Have a
We'll
good
see
day.
ya.
Easy.
Thanks to Linda, she did all the research there.
Okay, we're off until,
Again.
this is a time for Rhodey Holman to discuss workers' compensation renewals review. There's no Rhodey.
Table it for next week, but we need to find out, cause I heard our work comp is gonna take a sky high.
I imagine.
Everything else is on insurance, so I mean, we really need to, in case we had to change that one.
Oh, that for budget purposes. And usually they send, of course, it's not Mako anymore, is it? It's state.
It's, yes, you can.
You would think that they would still send what the rate's going to be, knowing that it's a fiscal year.
Well, that's why,
Maybe Sarah got them.
I think she's been emailing him because she was all excited because she was like nothing like the end of the month because she saw Rhodey was gonna be here today.
maybe go ask her if she has anything.
I just saw her take off to the post office. I mean, if you
That's,
check with Sue and Becky.
Yeah, because we always got for budget, to work on the budget so we can
well, it throws
increase.
a big kink into the wages and stuff. you know.
So I guess we'll table it.
And- Well, I love,
We haven't received anything or heard from him today, so.
Chuck mentioned that we just table it for next week.
Okay.
We need to know.
Email him.
Oh, we're off until 11, unless Rhodey. Okay, we're back on.
Yeah,
Rhodey,
sit
Rhodey
wherever you
showed
wanna
up,
sit.
so
Yeah, you can sit there.
to discuss workers' compensation renewals.
Hope you got something good for us.
We do. We do. So again, thanks for taking the opportunity to visit with me today. I appreciate it. Or giving me the opportunity to visit with you, I should say. So this is the second year we apologize.
Do you dance every time you hear the phone ring?
Yeah. Should have shut that off on the way in. So this is the second year that we will have been with the Montana State Fund, as you all are aware. Last year, the MACO program disbanded its workers' compensation trust. And the reason for that was they started to become non-competitive and they kind of saw the writing on the wall. So what they did was they encouraged counties, you'll recall that they had hooked their wagon to an agency out of Sydney, Montana. And so at that point, people that are current clients of Pain West, for example, started to speak up and said, well, we like the relationships that we have with the people that we have, and so we're going to stay put with those. And so that's when we decided to go with the Montana State Fund. So that option is again in play if you want to take advantage of the still being insured with the Montana State Fund, but also using a portion of the commission that is earned on the account to help fund MACO from a loss control perspective. So that dividend program is in play. Last year, we discussed the idea of just Granite County standing on its own 2 feet and seeing how it played out. And then let's see how the dividend program works with the other counties as we move forward, you know, into the future. So that's kind of where we're at right now. The program, I'll just pass this out so everybody has.
Would that be almost like self-insured or something?
Yeah,
No,
I thought it was, so when you talked about that, we was looking into getting into that other outfit, not the one from Sydney. I thought the Sydney one was just kind of stirred up a whole bunch of shit.
well, they did a little bit of that.
It caused a lot of heck.
It did, it caused a lot of, you know, and a lot of people didn't, you know, a lot of people, the counties were upset that they really didn't have much of a say in that. And that's when kind of we came in and said, okay, here's an option for you. So what you have before you is the renewal offer from the Montana State Fund. And right down the line, you can see the payroll and the various class codes associated with the county operations. And that generates a manual premium of $58,682. And then our Part B limits, our employer's liability limits, which are above at 1 million per bodily injury by disease, each accident, each employee, and by policy limit. There's an uptick of 1.1% for that. And then the experience mod did take a bump this year. Your experience mod is calculated by the NCCI, National Commission on Compensation Insurance.
What was it?
We'll talk about that in a minute, but it was, I believe it was 0.89.
Okay.
We've had it where it was 1 point years and years ago,
1 point,
but I can't remember, but I know
North of-
yeah,
yeah.
the
And
month factor was wicked.
Yes, and so that's, you know, some of the stuff we're doing from a safety standpoint, safety committee, the investment that we've made, you know, the inspections that we do, all of those types of things pay dividends, and we want to try and drive that thing lower. You know, it is workers' comp. We all know that accidents can and do happen, unfortunately. And so to say that you're gonna implement safety measures that are gonna completely eliminate accidents is just not realistic.
No.
But to the extent to which you can drive that down is money in your pocket that you can use for other things. So, but it did come in at a 1.09. The schedule rating modifier, because of some of the things that,
I'm on the wrong page here.
no, you're on that page. Yeah, the schedule rating modifier in the middle of the page is at 1, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So that is underwriting discretion. So an underwriter can debit the account or credit the account. And that means that if they see things that they may not like, or they think that you're not doing your part, they could debit the account. And conversely, they can credit it. So in a minute, we'll talk about what they've done this year, which is to your benefit as well. So the net effect is with all the fees associated with Department of Labor, you'll note that there's Department of Labor, there's a terrorism.
Why you gotta pay a terrorist?
It's just embedded into the everybody pays it, and it's a function of the Terrorism Risk Insurance Act of 2001 that came about. It's just a small portion of the premium. That was $304. So all of those things rolled up. It looks like it's at $64,690 is your annual premium. And that's still about 20,000. I think about 20,000 less than you were paying 2 years ago. So, but the bigger, better picture is this last sheet that I put together for you. Is this one here that kind of walks and talks through the different changes from year to year. So the first columns are the 2020, 2021 structure, and that's the one that is in play right now. The next columns are your 21, 22 amounts, and then the third column is any changes in payroll, etc. So as you can see, one thing I like to focus on is the actual rate. You can see that the rate actually declined, and this is the manual rate. So last year for class code 7720, which is your law enforcement, it went from 381 per 100 in payroll down to 353. Are you
Why
seeing?
would we be? Or did they just go through us to have comp like the bus companies and ambulance emergencies like that? Where now we got their different ambulance set.
So, but this is the volunteer ambulance, and
So
if they
they're-
go on runs, then we
they're
have to
covered.
pay work comp on them.
That's like.
And so, yeah,
But
it's,
why do we
it's,
pay on a bus company?
well, it's included into so it's bus drivers and ambulance drivers and that are in this code.
It's
what that is.
kind of
Oh,
They are
Usually
lumped into this
Adler-
one code.
it's a great description that, and so different occupations are codified or coded differently from a work comp perspective. So thanks for pointing that out. You can see the municipal 8743 is down from 0.71 to 0.68. Clerical was at 0.35 down to 0.33. That other one is a new class code. Your municipal administrative or non-professional went from 167 per 100 to 147. And then your all other employees and drivers went from 666 to $6. So the actual rates all went down. You'll note from the total payroll, obviously your budgeting increases in payroll for raises, et cetera. So that actually went up. The manual premium came in a little bit higher because of the increases in payroll at the 59. And then the mod, you can see the change in the mod from 0.89 to 1.09. So it did take a turn for the worse. But I wanted to point out too that schedule rating, we were able to negotiate that down from last year it was 1.25. So we were able to negotiate that down 25% to a 0.1. So that's a good thing for you guys as well. So the net effect is you're up about $3,000 in annual premium, but your payroll is up about $218,000. So all in all, I think it was, you know, a good renewal from that perspective. Do you guys have any questions on this? Does this make sense to
Don't
you?
we get money back if we have a good year on something on the state fund usually gives you something back, like where we're doing all the trainings and all that?
Yeah, and that's all a function of your loss ratio.
Does it go to each one that we're involved with, or does it just come right back to Granite County?
So that's a great question. So this year, this is the 20th or 21st consecutive year that the Montana State Fund has declared a dividend. So the dividends that were declared this year were based on the 2018 policy period. So there's always that lag time. And that lag time takes into account, sometimes, as you well know, workers' compensation claims can be open for a long period of time, or they can just sit there and be open and not develop. We always call it the claim cooked. So it grew during a certain period of time, or sometimes claims may appear to be really bad at first, and then lo and behold, that injured employee, the injury wasn't as severe, so it's not as bad. So that's why that lag time from 2018. But yes, you're right. So there is a dividend program, and Granite County is eligible. That I have Granite County enrolled in the participating program, which is the dividend program. The question we had last year, which you guys declined to do, was there is a second potential dividend program, and that's that MACO program. If you wanted to enroll in that, then you could be possibly eligible for another dividend through that program. But that program takes into account all county governments as opposed to just Granite counties. So, and again, last year you made the decision, no, we want to stand on our own 2 feet. So I don't know if that's something you want to change this year or not. But it seems like
I think we better, my opinion, stay where we're going. I just don't.
Yeah, I do too.
We were mad at, because of, just what they went on. Said we'd try this, make sure it work out.
Okay, so I'm a little confused
okay, let me try and help
on
you.
the dividend thing and us being standalone.
Okay. Let me try and explain that to you.
Okay,
Okay, so we have Granite County enrolled in a participating program. So Granite County, in and of itself, depending on its loss ratio and how it performs, and if the state fund declares a dividend, which they've done for the past 22 consecutive years, you would be eligible for that dividend.
and what is that? Is that,
That would be a potential return of premium
okay,
based on your loss ratio during that policy period, which is calculated like 2 years post. So the current, like I said, the current dividend that was paid, that was declared and paid by the Montana State Fund was based off of the 2018 policy period. So that's why I talked about that lag period. So depending on how Granite County does during the respective policy periods, they could be eligible for that dividend if it's declared and if your loss ratio is appropriate.
and then I see here we have a new code number. Because was an ambulance like under 9420?
It probably was historically, and they came in and
And
did
they
it.
came in,
They did a look.
which is your rate is less than the 9420. So I guess that's a good thing.
Yeah,
But it's not that much.
and it's not
because-
much of,
yeah,
it's not a lot of payroll either there. It's
Okay, right.
$2,400.
Yeah.
So yeah, did I answer your question on the dividend? So that's Granite County standing on its own 2 feet.
Okay.
And then the next potential dividend that could be paid is if all of if Granite County elected to go into the MACO program, and you would be taking some of the commission, and that would be going to MACO. If they elected to go into that program, that would be all of the counties that are in that program. If they all perform well, they could be eligible for a second dividend. But
you guys weighed
And
the,
you're looking at 56 counties that need to perform well.
well,
to get a
not all
different-
56
Oh,
are in it, but you're right, that's a lot of them.
Yeah.
Right, and so the decision the county made last year was, you know what, we want to stay where we want to just do it on our own and see how it rolls. So,
Okay, I see. Yeah, I'd say stay on our own. Again,
The county received a dividend, then you said, for 2000, based on 2018?
no,
No.
so, thanks for the question. So no, it's, the dividend potential that the state fund paid, I'm just trying to explain the
Yeah.
lag time.
Okay, so
So,
was there a dividend this county received yet or not?
no, because
Okay.
we wouldn't, we wouldn't know yet,
Yeah,
because this, we're in the 2021 policy period.
okay,
So again, once the dust settles, so to speak, and the audits are all performed, they usually, it's about a 2-year lag
okay.
between, so again, like I mentioned earlier, the dividend that was just declared and paid, the policyholders, was based off of that 2018 policy period, so there is that lag period.
Okay.
I think we just stay on our own, like, because then we can control what we have going on, where you get all them other counties in it, it's kind of
Right.
crazy.
Well, just want to make sure you're aware that that's an option for you too, and again, I think that some of the things. The loss control services, I think that Brody's helping with, we're trying to help with, I think that, that you guys are truly invested in, are gonna try and drive that mod down. That's really what this is all about. I talked yesterday to another county, just it's a neighboring county, and, I expanded on the importance of that mod factor and why that is, why it's, talking about early return to work. And I know that drives some people crazy, that concept of early return to work, but as, I drive by the mine and viewed it, there's a reason why there's a big sign across the entrance that says, a gazillion hours of no lost time accidents. And, it's a mine. I know they have accidents, but what do?
They work around it so it don't come up on the mountain.
Well, that's right. They put them in modified duty jobs. They put them in modified duty jobs and so
Light duty.
and stuff like that. And, so a lot of people say, well, we're a Spartan operation. We don't have the opportunity to do that. And, on paper, I could show you why it makes some sense to implement an early return to work program. Now, as the employer, you always have the choice to say, well, in this case, it doesn't work. But I would encourage you to try and implement early return to work. And I know you have. But I would encourage you to continue to try and do that as you can. I've modeled experience modification numbers for other insureds. And the way that they work is NCCI, let's just say you had a $25,000 claim. And on that claim, 100% of that $25,000, all of that $25,000 was medical expense. That claim is reduced by 70% by NCCI. So they'll reduce that claim. So what's 70% of $25,000 is, 30% of 25 would be $6,000, right? So
if you say so.
that's my back of the napkin calculating. But my point is that it's only going to impact your mod if it's medical only. It's only going to impact your mod by 30%. Meaning that 70% is wiped off. But the second that claim turns to wage loss, so let's say it's the same $25,000. Let's say 12,000 was medical and 12,500 was medical and 12,500 was wage loss. The second that turns to wage loss, 100% of that claim hits your mod. So, the reason we talk about early return to work and trying to mitigate that wage loss benefit. And let's face it, Montana law states that your employees only get 66 2/3% of their wage when they're out on work. So there's incentive to get them back to work from an employee morale standpoint, get them back, but also it lessens your impact on your mod.
So, and then maybe have them use their sick days instead of going and work on.
I don't, can you do that?
No, I would say more of
You
a,
can't do that?
no, I would say more of a modified, if there's an opportunity for and again, you don't,
Light
the
duty work.
light duty, modified duty,
Done.
you do not have to do it. You're not, it's more of a commitment. We're gonna do it. But you don't have to do it in every case. If there's the road crew has an injured employee and you don't have anything for them, I mean, you could say, no, we can't do it in this case. So it's really up to you. Now, I want to point out though, that as we all know, the physicians, the medical community is what drives that. So when you take your grab and if the injured employee, has to go to the doctor, take that grab and go kit that we have available. And that kind of delineates from the doctor's perspective, what that employee may or may not be able to do once he's up and able to come back. So it makes sense to try and implement that early return to work. It's just
So
financially, it's. a
Have
big-
we had to do that at all? We have.
Yeah.
People have been out for quite a while.
Yeah, and they were waiting, the worst thing was the last one, not the last one, the one before was because of this COVID crap. They couldn't get in, so it was costing us on the, because the doctor wouldn't see them. So they were gonna check in on some of that, I don't did follow through.
But, as I said, it pays, there's definitely some tangible savings there. From the early return to work perspective, so.
Good report. Better than I thought. I was heard that it was really going up, so that's how you hear stuff.
Yeah. My mom used to tell me, believe none of what you hear, half of what you see, and it'll be okay.
When I was saying,
Get in your mind, like, oh, shit.
our mod factor used to be 1.25 for a lot of years, and when it would go under 1, we were just like elated because yay, saving us a little bit of money.
I think though we're on our own, we do all the safety things and we got control of our guys. And keep it where if you start going out and trying to, compete with them other counties, 30 other counties, it's tough to go.
Yeah, and one bad claim can.
And we could be that.
You could, and then what you would be foregoing at that point would be a potential dividend in that particular year. But you would be foregoing that dividend anyway, if you were in the group, right? So.
Good job.
Yeah. So does anybody else have any questions?
No, appreciate you coming in.
Absolutely.
Thanks. It was good.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
For sure. So Brody, I know, has some grab and go kits that are coming out.
Yep, I've been in contact with you.
Okay,
And
awesome.
we're working on a safety manual.
So, like I said, we're here to help, that's the whole idea behind it. We wanna, I always say the best thing we can do is do what we can so that your employees go home safe at night. And that's really what this is all about. So. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
You bet.
Good job. Have a good 4th.
You as well. Hopefully,
Cool down maybe.
yeah.
Shit.
Hopefully that it's warm. It's gonna be warm, huh? Brace for that, huh? Well, thanks, guys.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Okay.
See you later.
See you. Take care. Nice to see you.
You too.
Thanks. Thanks.
See you, Joe.
You good, huh?
I'm good.
Thanks. Thanks for.
Yes. thank you so much.
You're gonna toughen out.
Got this one.
Okay, now is the time for Sam Dennis from Town Public Works.
Hey, Sam.
Hey guys, how we doing today?
Good, how are you?
Wonderful. It's hot out.
Oh. Highway 137 yesterday, shot that thing, it was
137 degrees out on the asphalt.
like you're gonna see.
Wish we'd get some rain too.
Oh, shit, it's scary.
It's scary.
I feel like I had a good job on what you're doing and appreciate that water. Way
Oh.
to jump on it. Like,
Thank
I really
you.
mean that. Good job. You're doing a damn good job.
Thank you.
We had water in the courthouse the whole time, so it was just.
Yeah, it wasn't, we have a lot in storage, but you're on the clock. You have to be able to keep
They
making
do it.
water. And ironically, that's kind of what I'm here for. our water treatment system and possibly future sewer improvements rely on communications with radios. And we've struggled for a long time because the brains of the operation is at our shop in a control panel with a couple of computers attached to it. And we can't get good, reliable communications to our pump station and the Silver Springs building. So we were looking at alternative radio sites to use as a repeater, just like the sheriff's office has, quite similar. And our SCADA engineer found the siren pole at the county shop to be like the perfect. We get a good look down into the Silver Springs, we can see the sewer ponds, we can see the tank up there, the water treatment plant, everywhere we need to go. So I thought I would come in and ask you guys if you were amenable to us installing a small radio communication site.
Is it just a little antenna on top of it? or
They're
how's this
little
work?
white, they look like a little white satellite dish. They're about that big.
Is that pole good enough? I mean, have you looked at?
It looks,
Is it okay?
it looks good.
I guess that's my concern.
And I don't know whose pole that is. I think the siren belongs to the town, possibly even fire department. I don't know.
I don't know.
There had to be something years ago to put that up at the shop. What we would need is just a simple metal bracket with two little white dishes. And then a box either attached to the pole or to the side of the shop, like a breaker box. The kicker to it is we need power, and it would be like 25 watts a month, which I don't know what that is, $3-4.
I think that if we're gonna do it, then we wouldn't worry, just whatever it comes through, we'll take care of it, because it's trying to change that all over and having a different power outlet. I guess I'd make the motion, we just go ahead with what you want to put up and not worry about the.
Thanks, Scott.
So I would say that would be being a good neighbor, wouldn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah, it would. It would really help us out.
What little bit has, we're trying to change the pole, or not, the pole, but putting up a meter.
Another
on it.
service and that, could get kind of expensive.
I just get, yeah,
So did you make a motion?
I'll make a motion to go ahead with Sam Dennis's request for the. Yeah, radio repeater and.
I guess, would it be a big deal for us to have a key that we can get in the yard? 'Cause
I
if
think
the
it's
power
most-
goes out. we'll
Most
have to-
time it's just chain wrapped anyway. I don't know if they've been locking away yet,
Sure.
but we can get a key, get a whole Paul out, you can get a key
Sure.
or whatever. That'd be my, if these guys,
I'm fine with it.
I'm good with it. Any public comment?
I'll second the motion, by the way.
Yeah, just
Awesome,
whenever you
thank
wanna
you.
do it, just let Paul know, and talk to him about the key and what you're doing. out there.
Sure, yeah, I'll touch base with him, Scott, when we get a little closer. I hope we can get it done this summer, maybe later towards fall, we can put
So
it in this year.
officially, all those in favor of the motion?
Aye,
Aye.
there we go.
Thanks, we appreciate
I
that.
appreciate your work, working with this county and
Yeah, it's nice when we can all work together.
makes it a lot easier.
Get a lot of things done. So I'll just, as we get closer, I'll keep Paul in the loop if that's as far.
Yeah.
If you guys need some
Easier.
update.
Yeah,
Yeah, just go through him, and if there's something you need or whatever.
I think what we would do is put it in and then just use an extension cord to test it. And once that's it, well, then we just get Jerry wires outside plug in there. We'll be good to go.
Sounds good, bud.
Thanks, guys.
Hey,
Appreciate it. Have a good
Thanks.
day.
You
huh?
too, have a good one.
Or you guys want to make a written agreement?
Nah,
Well, what we can do is make sure the minutes reflect everything we said, so it'll be in the minutes.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
talk about the power.
And it's on video,
Recorded.
we post the videos.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. From the movie
Forever.
star, yeah. I better go around and crawl in the trench before the head gets too big. Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Have a nice day.
you too.
Okay, now we're in public comment.
oh, wow. Rick Clute works for the American Legion and he's asking if they could get like a half a dump truck of millings to put over at the rodeo grounds. They're putting in a new shed there. So I don't care. They're doing all the work and everything, so. I mean, we've helped the rodeo grounds there growing before. It's no big
They're
deal.
gonna haul it.
Even if we had that, we're gonna be going in there, if we get going on that other milling stuff, if we put that other culvert and stuff in there to haul it in there. Even if we have to haul on half of it. He said he'd take care
That you do have a good neighbor policy on that.
I like
of it. Other than
that.
that, that's all I have.
I had a couple questions on the board minutes, but I can't see them. And I tried to print them off at home and they wouldn't print.
What do you have?
Well, under Paul's or something else, something under Paul's, but then I think I had the Bert, we talked about the Bert Weaver Road, and then they said Bert Weaver about his dump trucks. Is that the same?
Bob
Oh, yeah, see
It
now
should have
I,
been,
Oh,
should,
so you said that too. I thought it was just.
It
it's
should have
just
been
the road
Bob.
We talked about though, isn't it?
Yeah, Bert Weaver's just a road. Bob Weaver has it. He's different completely.
I don't think we talk about Bob Weaver
No,
in the
we
minutes
haven't.
though.
you mentioned that he would be willing to.
Pay him the
hold-
next physical year.
yeah, right.
But that, and as long as we're on that subject, is he on the call down list with? I mean, what order is that call down list?
Well, that wouldn't be on the call down list for that, Blanchard. This is just to buy the gravel from him for that road. That's not.
Oh, you're just buying gravel?
Yeah, this is no
Okay,
hauling or
yeah,
nothing.
okay,
He
yeah,
won't come up until we start doing this other milling stuff, which might be next week or the week later. It just depends on when we can get this rolled.
okay, so that's, I was confused.
No, that's all. that.
And there was something else on that, I can't
Okay, I
remember.
got that then. That
It
was
had
it.
his name there.
Bert
Because we
Weaver
have the
Road's the
road
one
and
that
the-
cuts over and-
While we were.
And
Bob
Lance
Weaver.
told me about it yesterday. I'm like, no, because they're talking
And
about
it's
the
really,
road.
it'd be under Weaver Construction.
So I'll change it to Weaver Construction. that way.
Who was Bert Weaver? Was he grandpa to them?
No, it wasn't even related.
Yeah, I thought I read that, Bert Weaver, and I said, who's Bert Weaver?
And then I was like, there's it's a road.
Said, don't you mean Bob Weaver? And she said, that's the road, and I went, oh, but there was something else too.
Looks good up there. Holy cow, better it's been 30 years.
Hmm.
They put some pretty good material down and now at least we keep the people from driving out. And see, we had a conflict with a person that went up there. An underage kid got on a blade, went up and tore up the road, trying to fix the road. He thought he could because the landowner up to one of these people said, oh no, we can do that. They end up, we kind of let it rot just.
As a side note, I have drafted up a little maintenance agreements when people come in and wanna maintain stuff.
There's
Have
gonna
them
be,
all
a-
agreed.
there's gonna be a couple coming in.
Yeah,
and
'cause
down.
The people that came in last
have
year.
that on Other than that, I'm good on the minutes. They're gonna be-
Yeah, well, and then there was one comment where I read it wrong. But I think she just put a comma behind no, where the way I read it, it said, no, all the emails will be changed, but
I
it
put
was
one-
no, comma.
One
emails.
comma can change.
Yeah.
The tone of the
Yeah.
whole,
Yes,
yeah.
Good, you've seen it. I didn't know some of that stuff. I read through them. but I didn't-
Yeah, that's what I told her too, like keying them and typing them and then reading them and then typing them. I was like, my mind sometimes just
Yeah,
can't.
well,
even
yeah,
catch
and
it.
that's, everybody does that.
Yeah,
Sees
No,
the
you're
same
doing it.
thing and doesn't.
You're doing a good job.
Yeah.
Uncle.
yeah.
What's wrong? Why?
Just,
Oh, man.
yeah,
Just
no,
kidding.
they're laying on the highway.
Your bag?
Yeah, I was trying to get some love notes off yesterday and sent it.
Okay.
I damn near got killed. It was.
People,
they
Well, if
come
you
by-
remember it later, I won't send them to Sarah till the end of the day.
Yes, semi come by.
I won't send them to Sarah
and
till the end of the
And
day,
it's
so.
so cold,
find it
blew
later.
my head off and slammed my head against the camera.
you turn it in,
Like,
it was gone before.
gone
you
before you ever even knew it. It's,
Wow.
okay, it's.
Oh,
I'm
sorry.
not done with it. It ain't worth it.
that on the freeway?
Yeah. Oh, it was so close, I mean, I got a big bump on my head, where it slammed me against the camper, that's how close
So
it
it
was.
was just right up top.
It might go probably 75, 80 with a load of hay on it.
Oh my God.
If I could have been down and caught him, killed him. But what do you do?
Well, the, what, 2 people killed, right? The spring, was it the spring? or-
Two, and then another one was critically in bad shape still.
Oh,
They
yeah.
won't get over and they slow down, it don't matter, they hit your sign. And one lady went by with the highway patrolman standing beside me. He goes, there goes your cone. I said, what? And the cone stuck under her car and she's dragging the damn thing down the highway. And boom, it
Hopefully it
comes
took
out.
out a radiator.
We're just looking at it like, holy shit.
In Montana, do
How-
you get a ticket for that? In Idaho, if you don't get over, they ticket you.
They're
Well,
trying
it's-
to, but it's not enough. I mean, they need to start hammering.
Hammering,
Yeah, you
something.
get,
yeah.
everybody gets over it.
Same with
$10
the-
ticket.
Well, it's just courtesy and it is
Yeah.
supposed
But
to.
There's
you
times
see
they
it
can't,
slow
you know,
down,
but-
Yeah.
people don't want to slow down.
It's, I tell you, it was scary.
You know, if the hay truck was close, if it was putting by, it would have been okay, but yeah.
Yeah,
flying
there wasn't
by.
nobody beside him, and he just didn't get over.
It's terrifying.
Worst thing they see is lights, and that's, I think they just kind of.
They're looking at it.
Yeah.
all
Then
the
they
way.
was a busy day for me today.
That's why there's so many accidents at Nimrod, like people are looking on,
That's, I don't drive at night because I can't see.
Are you staying cool in your room?
keep your clearance.
I'll make a
Yes,
motion.
thank you very much.
Oh, thanks for getting that, Debbie, we got Thursday, he needs to get that in before they have a heat. meltdown.
So he said that
Come just do it.
he said, no BS answer. I'm just trying to figure out a no BS answer to give you. And I'm like, well, I appreciate that. He's like, I'll try to get there Thursday or Friday. And then he said, I'll make it happen Thursday. And he's like, or Friday. So there's end of the week, he'll
He
be,
lost his health too.
yeah.
Oh, I heard that.
Who is this?
See?
Jeremy Finley, Lon Willie, when.
Oh, yeah, it was a busy guy.
Whatever, it's,
Yeah.
I can't find no help.
Well,
I'll make
yeah.
a motion of after the minute change, we accept them.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Your minutes good then?
Thank you very much.
Minutes good?
Hey, Chad.
I can't remember what I was thinking, so,
I'll make Tom,
what's that?
The minutes, were they okay? Did you?
Yeah, I can't remember.
Well, if you think about it, we can save them for next, well, we can let them go through, and if there's something we need to look back on, we can. we'll go back.
I told him I would wait to send them to Sarah until the end of the day.
Think about it.
Just changes.
Okay,
So we're not gonna
yeah, well,
accept the minutes?
we,
I'd make a motion to accept them.
Okay. Okay, I'll second it.
all those in favor say aye.
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 Make a motion, we adjourn.
I've got 5 minutes.
Good job today, guys.
Yep, you too.